Phobias are tricky things to overcome. There are several different problems that go into them. These phobias have become an integral part of your identity. Changing your identity makes one nervous and uncomfortable. Just like in paradigm shifts, your memories will then have to rewrite themselves to include this new mindset and create a new identity. After your phobia goes into extinction, you will be a different person, and you will have to be prepared and be okay with that. Many people are stuck on their idea of their identity, so much that they can never move on and better themselves. With the advice in this video, please keep in mind I am not a psychologist and I have no credentials or experience in professional counseling. However, from the readings I have done, there are 3 major methods and a few alternatives and experimental methods accepted by the psychological community. After talking to several people with strong hadephobia after deconversion, I have noticed a pattern that all of them also have other phobias or anxieties, and just like myself, they attempt to move from the super passiveness they held all their lives, and many times have to spend a period of time being passive-aggressive, as I was, as I discussed in my video, Passiveness and Authority, Deconversion 4. For those people, I seriously recommend professional therapy, and overcoming hadephobia will be easier once you learn how to overcome your other phobias and anxieties. My therapist in the Navy was oddly a nun who was pretty awesome and liberal. She helped tremendously, moving me toward a much healthier mindset overall, so overcoming hadephobia was a lot easier once I figured out the mechanisms for myself. The first one I'll brush over, because I don't want to do any advertising for pharmaceuticals, are prescription drugs. If you go to therapy, they can be highly useful, but I'm not a psychiatrist, so I can't help you in that area. The next part is counseling. Being taught new ideas to look at your reality, and just having someone acknowledge that your fear, although illogical, does not make you a wuss or crazy, can really help. The final part is desensitization. This requires you to, in a controlled manner, face your fears. When you have control over your situation, that really helps. I have talked to a few teens with hadephobia on this channel, and several were trying to use blasphemy as a way to overcome their fears, and it wasn't working that well because they still had that gut instinct of nervousness whenever they did it. In familiar surroundings, where the emotional links were first made, that's like someone with fear of rats covering themselves with rats. This form of desensitization is called flooding, and it can work with, say, a fear of dogs. If one is locked under controlled conditions with a friendly dog, one can get over the fear of the dog because nothing happens except for slobbers. Of course, this might create a phobia of saliva, especially if the person has a germ phobia already. If you're away from the surroundings you originally gained hadephobia in, this type of flooding may help. If you're stuck in the same surroundings, especially as a teen at home with your religious family, this may actually do the opposite. The feared effects of blasphemy is not at all instantaneous. The stuff is supposed to happen after you die, so you don't really see the results so much. So all you have is familiar surroundings remind you that hell awaits you for doing that. The little Albert case I discussed in the last video involved first the child in the same room with a rat without the loud noise. At first the child cried, but over time the rat could get closer to the child without a fear response. At the extinction point, Albert could even hold and pet the rat. This is called systematic desensitization. Just like the way I tackled my irrational judgment response with someone discussing their homosexuality, the same can be done with other irrational religious phobias or responses. Anytime you get an emotional response to any free thought you have, just thinking about doubt or heaven, keep at your command all the logical, rational arguments you have to not believe in it. After enough times, I have no way of saying how many, your emotional reactions will desensitize, allowing you to think freely without fear. The first step used in treatment for phobias is to teach the patient relaxation techniques. One of the first things a phobic person will do when confronted by a phobia is to seize up and get excited or panic. The sympathetic nervous system goes into overdrive. Usually these people are not capable of really relaxing in non-stressful situations, so when they face a fear, they certainly don't know how to relax then. When one learns to relax in non-stressful situations, they can stop the fear reaction from happening by forcing themselves to relax and think rationally around their fear. The next step is to rate your anxiety level for each phobia you have on a scale of, say, 1 to 100. You rate 100 as the most fearful you've ever been, 0 is the most relaxed you've ever been. This allows you to focus on the amount of fear that you have and rate progress as you go along. On top of this, you can rate how afraid you are right then and make yourself aware that you need to stop and relax before you go forward, otherwise you will go too far and feel too much fear to calm down. The next stage is to build anxiety hierarchies, or in the case of non-hadephobes, judgmental hierarchies as well can work too. I'm sure there are judgments I still have that I haven't realized I need to overcome, but I've taken on the hierarchy piecemeal. Many times in the case of hadephobia, one can analyze triggers and levels of fear created by doing certain actions or thinking certain things. What one can do is focus on the areas that cause some but not a lot of fear, and you can desensitize yourself to these fears, which may reduce some of the greater fears to a manageable level. The last step involves using relaxation and imagining a member of the hierarchy, then using relaxation techniques while focusing on them. Focus on the fear for 10 seconds, then go back to relaxation. Repeat these steps, starting out slow and working your way up to all your fears in the same session. This method links your fears with relaxation instead of anxiety. These are steps used by psychologists for your average phobia. The other treatments I've looked at are generally used for PTSD patients. So if you continue to wake up screaming in the middle of the night thinking about hell because you have a Nam-style flashback, please seek professional help. One last point to make about this is how to cure hadephobia in others, or even the fear of doubt, atheism, evolution, or the fear of secularism. I know people who will literally turn their opinion of you on a dime the moment they find out you're an atheist. Secularism tastes like a bitter poison in the mouths of many, even though it's wonderful for Christians in nations where they are the minority. The Red Scare created a secondary fear of atheists and anyone who doubts God. It has been shown that if you explain evolution without using the word evolution, people tend to accept it and it makes complete sense. But as soon as you use the word evolution, they close their minds off in fear. They fear the breakdown of their society, crime rates rising, and not being patriotic enough. Questioning Jesus means you hate America, which of course leads to baby eating. So how do we fix hadephobia in our areas? Many quote-quote new atheists try to use the flooding mechanism as a form of desensitization. As stated above, this can be useful in certain circumstances. In other circumstances, it can actually do more harm than good. In Indiana, we have recently had a billboard campaign through the Center for Inquiry raising secular awareness. We had a few people show up to the center in the last few weeks just because of the sign. P.Z. Myers actually criticized the billboard because it wasn't in your face and controversial enough. In Midwest Indiana, change bad and Jesus good. Just raising awareness about secularism and that doubt is okay in this region is a major assault on people's beliefs. This is flooding to many people. The bile and hatred we've received just from this is fairly powerful as people just want to make it stop. The fear of what Jerry Falwell preached about God's wrath on the nation or state as we allow secularism to exist in our state is burned into their brains. On the coast, the number of people offended by the Christmas "it's a myth, you know" billboard was probably lower than our billboard here. Whether you take the passive atheist approach or the Hitchens-style new atheist approach should depend entirely on your location, the person, and the situation. If you don't assess the situation correctly, you could do more harm than good. The best advice for people who don't feel they can make this assessment yet should follow the advice of my friend from the center. I'm not a scientist, I'm not a philosopher. The best I can do is not be a dick, treat people well, and show people what a secular humanist can do without God. Hey guys, just to let you know, yesterday was, 2 years ago, was the first time I posted a video to YouTube. It's been a fun ride, so 2 years, yay me. And thank you all for subscribing.